How many of you coaches, just by a little show of hands, have athletes that you recognize they have a lot of negative self-talk? I used fixed-minded earlier. They're really hard on themselves. They would never treat their teammates the way they treat themselves. This is what I call the negative cycle. And this is really important when we're talking habits. This is what gets really uncomfortable for your athletes. I'm going to be asking the athlete to start clapping with that left thumb. Their brain is going to tell them, instinct is going to tell them, no, don't do this. This is wrong. Do what's comfortable, even though what's comfortable is being mean and nasty to themselves. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy, but that's literally what we do as humans. We get comfortable with a habit, and whether it works for us or not, we just keep doing it, and doing anything different is really hard, even if it's good for us. So our job, if you all are similar to me and my value system, I want to help create happy, successful future leaders, helping them understand and develop this medium brain and understand this negative cycle is key. Self-talk is the things that you say to yourself, and what you're saying to yourself, whether you know it consciously or unconsciously, will produce the way that you see yourself or your self-image, which again are your attitudes, opinions that you have about yourself. That self-image is going to control how you perform, which quite simply is how you're going to do when you step foot on that mat. And then that performance is going to reinforce or stimulate new self-talk. So when you have athletes that have negative, like really critical self-talk, what we want to do is try and intervene and stop that. Try and teach them more about it. My hope is so far, everything, like pieces of a puzzle, everything's starting to come together. When I work with athletes who have fear, I use the same thing with teams as well. I follow these 3 rules. Rule number 1, you are never allowed to go above a 3. Rule number 2, you get 3 tries to throw a skill. Rule number 3, you have 10 seconds to try and throw that skill. When I say rule number 1, you never go above a 3, think of a spectrum. 0, I have no fear. 5, I have tons of fear. That 3 is the highest amount of fear I will let an athlete go through. Or think if you have younger athletes, yellow light is the highest I would let them go. And the key factors to know where they are on that 0 to 5 is usually what is their ratio of throwing it? How much hesitation do they have? And then what do you see in their body language? Sometimes athletes do have good self-awareness and can like dictate where they are, but really coaches, I want you to become the experts at what each one of these look like. A 0, you are going to see the athlete smiling, laughing, having fun, great technique, and they go 10 out of 10 times without any hesitation. You're not about to see me tumble. I told you earlier, I would disintegrate in front of you. But a 0 is literally, hey, do a standing back handspring. Okay. Oh my gosh. And so my mom was, Jenny, come on, focus. Oh yeah, sorry, the standing back handspring. Boom, boom, boom. 0. A 1, an athlete has pretty strong form, but sometimes at a 1, you're going to see like little weird things. Not always. This is just a marker for me. I often see athletes do this at a 1. They have little to no hesitation, just like the 0. And they go almost every single time, but they often do this when standing tumbling. Sorry, that was really dramatic. Usually it's like, and their feet jump apart, or they do a step back that they don't normally do. Because at a 1, that's when a little bit of fear is coming in. And so the athlete is not in their flow. They start doing weird things. How many of you have seen athletes like start looking to the side and all of a sudden now you're like, you used to never look over your shoulder. What is going on? That athlete is trying to fly in, through fear. And so they're just chucking it in a way that causes their amygdala to stay quiet, but they're learning bad technique. A 2 is when you're going to see like the wringing of the hands. You're going to see wiping of their legs. You're going to see the look behind. There's at a 2, you're going to get a lot of the like, are you sure? I'm not. And then when they go, there's going to be a good amount of weight before they throw it. And at a 2, they will not throw it every time. They will step back. They will wait too long. A 3 is just a little bit more intense of that. For me, the difference between a 2 and a 3, usually at a 3, they do less talking. Not always, but that's a big thing for most of the athletes I work with, especially the chatty Cathy's. A 3, you ask them a question at a 3 and they can't answer you. Or you'll get a, I don't know. I don't know. More than 10 seconds of waiting is usually a 3. Some weird technique throws, and a 3, I usually say about 50%. So really quick, 0 is 100%. This is just my unscientific estimates. A 1 is about throwing it 90%. A 2 is about 75. A 3 is at about 50. A 4 is when you're going to start seeing that athlete get mad, frustrated, really upset. They need to walk away, but depending on which one they are, they're going to run away like a turtle, or they're going to push hard like a lion at a 4. And then a 5 is when they have, as Dr. Siegel says, they flip their lid. We never want an athlete to be tumbling above a 3. Let's go back to the fast pathway of fear. Why would we not want an athlete trying to push themselves like a lion above a 3? Exactly, Bridget. Above a 3, what's going to end up happening? There is an increased risk of injury. There's an increased risk of, in the middle of their tuck, their amygdala goes, what are you doing? I forgot what you're doing. And they land hard on their back or on their neck, reinforcing and only telling their amygdala, you're right, you never should have gone. And then they go deeper and deeper into the mental block because they should. They should. I don't want an athlete who's going to push above a 3 going for their tumbling, because it only increases the risk of injury. I'm telling you, coaches, while these kids are under construction, it's really important that you become an expert at this. The only way you can become an expert is by failing and not knowing and asking for help. So my question is, throw it up in the chat. What level of fear does this athlete struggle from? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? All right. I like your participation. I've got some 4s and some 5s in there. So what I would say that for her, it helps that I know her, that is a 3. She is able to push through it, but took way more. And we're going to get to all those rules in a second. But if you heard it, oh, never wait more than 10 seconds. Yeah. Even though she had been seeing me as a mental block coach, and she knew the rule was after 10 seconds, you have to walk away, she kept going. Yep, you're right. She was a lioness. And she tried to push and push and push. Eventually, she got over her mental block, but it was because she had to learn, yes, I felt like I could go, Jeff. And so I just kept saying, and you could, I don't even know if you could, even with her mask, she was mouthing things. Come on, just go, just go, just go, just go, just go. That's not what we want reinforced. That's just what she's used to. What we want to reinforce in her brain are the active things we want her to think about. Sit and jump, or a mantra, I'm strong, deep breath and go, things like that. to help train her brain on a new habit. So that is what a 3 looks like. Not all athletes are going to look the same, but that's what her 3 would look like. You get 3 attempts to do a skill. I referenced this earlier when somebody was asking like, hey, how do we find that sweet spot of a little bit of a challenge? If an athlete doesn't go 3 times in a row, I don't care if they say their fear levels is 0, they must do something easier on their ladder. I'll explain the ladder in a second. 3 times of not going is a guaranteed nope. Let's talk about habits and why, because all of my rules follow science. I don't go, I don't go, I don't go. If I keep trying to throw it and not going, I'm pairing 1, negative emotional memories, and I'm also reinforcing that neural pathway that says, hey, amygdala, they don't know how to control themselves. You need to take control and override them. So if they keep trying to throw it, even if they throw it on the 5th or 6th time, the damage is already done. And what's even worse is when they throw it on the 5th or 6th time, what they store in their brain is, this is working. Oh, no, it's not. 3 times, go down your ladder. That is the sweet spot. All right, rule number 3. You have 10 seconds to throw a skill. Make sure you understand and you hear this. 10 seconds to throw a skill. If they don't throw it after 10 seconds, it doesn't mean they have to go down their ladder. It means like one of those red X's. That was 1 missed skill. But because what happens when you freeze, the chemical that's getting released from your brain is cortisol. We want to get that cortisol out of that athlete. So if that athlete's doing what that athlete was doing, cortisol is getting pumped from the amygdala, the endocrine system, through their body, which literally makes that like feet frozen feeling that your athletes complain about actually happening. So after you wait more than 10 seconds, hey, move, go, shake it out. And I literally want them to shake it out, throw a dance, do a handstand, go do punch fronts. And I'm not talking for anything more than like 5 or 10 seconds, but I want that chemical to get out of their body. And do not stand there to go again until you feel prepared. That doesn't mean you have to go sit and go, but like, do I feel loose? Yes. Do you feel prepared? Yes. Take a deep breath. Bend and jump. So remember, that would have been 1 miss. If they wait for more than 10 seconds on the 3rd, yes, then they go down the ladder.